friends. Welcome back to Every Arnold Movie Ever, Episode 3. And when we last spoke, Arnold had a cameo in 1973's The Long Goodbye. It was a brief, silent performance, more wallpaper than load-bearing wall. But now we come to Stay Hungry, a movie that allows Arnold his first opportunity to have a fully three-dimensional character who actually speaks coherent sentences. This is a seminal movie in Arnold's career for three reasons. First, it pushed him to retire from bodybuilding and pursue acting full-time. Second, it forced him to take the craft of acting seriously. And third, it brought him the only acting award of his entire career. What's weird is Stay Hungry is mostly lost to the dustbin of history. It's just one of those movies that hasn't endured the test of time. You never hear anybody talking about Stay Hungry. And it's also easy for people to ignore Arnold's filmography prior to Conan the Barbarian in 1982. Outside of his cameo in The Long Goodbye, these movies are spotty at best. But whether Stay Hungry is good is beside the point. It's important to Arnold's story, to understanding his entire career. Now, Stay Hungry is based on a 1972 book from Charles Gaines, which is out of print and not cheap to come by. Gaines also wrote the book Pumping Iron, which inspired the documentary of the same name that we'll be talking about next episode. And also, weird fact that I learned, and now I have to share with you, Charles Gaines co-invented paintball. Do with that what you will. Gaines also wrote the script for Stay Hungry with the director, Bob Rafleson. Rafleson was coming off 5 Easy Pieces with Jack Nicholson and The King of Marvin Gardens, which I was disappointed to find out was not about the Monopoly Man. According to Arnold's biography, Gaines was pushing for Rafleson to cast Arnold in Stay Hungry. But Rafleson was concerned that Arnold couldn't pull off the emotional complexity required. Arnold tried to persuade him. He told Rafleson, "Looking for a professional actor is bullshit. I can do all that stuff. I'm sure I can act if you direct me right." I love that Arnold just put it back on him. Like, come on, man. You can teach me, right? You're a great director. And then Arnold had a one-scene role in a TV movie starring Lucille Ball and Art Carney called Happy Anniversary and Goodbye. Lucy and Art's characters decide to get a divorce on their anniversary, and Arnold shows up as an Italian named Rico. He's there to give Lucy a massage. It's a short scene, about 5 minutes, but Arnold kills.
Hey, where you from, fella?
Rome, Italy.
What'd you do there?
I was a truck driver.
Where'd you learn how to give a massage?
In Rome, every man knows how to give a massage.
You have a license?
Of course. It's impossible to drive a truck without a license.
Now, we're grading on a bit of a sitcom curve here because Arnold is just playing to the back.
Hey, who are you?
I'm Rico.
And just yelling his lines, very similar to Hercules in New York, but he's got Lucy as a foil, so kind of helps him a little bit.
I set up table.
You need any help?
And Arnold got that role because he did really well as a guest on the Merv Griffin show.
When I did the first Merv Griffin show, which was Shaki Green, that was the interviewer, he was the guest host. And it was really terrific. The next day, I got a phone call from Lucille Ball, which said, "I want you to be doing a guest spot."
And Arnold came in. He didn't know what he was doing. Even in this initial scene when he walks in, it's clear he messed it up, and Lucy covers for him.
I am Rico.
Oh, yes. Well, won't you go? Oh, you are in.
But it actually works better for the character. That was a surprise to a lot of people, and Rafleson called Arnold up afterwards and said they have to get together and talk. And when they sat down the next day, Rafleson said, "I am not giving you this part. You have to earn it." He told him he needed to take acting lessons and drop 30 pounds for the role. And so Arnold made 2 crucial decisions that changed his life forever. He retired from bodybuilding so he could drop that weight, and he agreed to take the acting lessons. The teacher was Jack Nicholson's teacher, and he was given 3 months to train Arnold. And during those 3 months, Arnold reshaped himself literally from a bodybuilder to a full-fledged actor who could access emotions he never even thought about. He even started doing transcendental meditation. And it paid off because Arnold got the job. The cast is pretty stacked. Jeff Bridges plays Craig Blake, a rich, aimless Alabama man who's inherited his dead parents' money and mansion and, Butler? Yeah. Some of it is explained in the movie's open with this really bizarre VO that sounds like an old-timey Civil War correspondence.
My dear Craig, it has been 5 months since your father.
My dearest Craig. Craig works for a shady real estate company run by the great character actor Joe Spinell, who you'd know from some of the greatest movies of all time: Godfather, Godfather Part 2, Rocky, Taxi Driver. And here's another piece of research that I unearthed that I'm going to share with you. He also died a classic old-school tough guy death at the age of 52 when he cut his neck and back on a glass shower door after slipping. But instead of going to the hospital or even calling somebody for help, he just wrapped a towel around it and took a nap on the couch. Dead. Now, Spinell's character needs Blake to go buy a gym so he can raise it to make room for a high-rise office building. When Blake goes to the gym, he meets a whole crew of oddball characters, including Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund. Englund plays Arnold's grease man.
Oil him up before exhibition.
Oh.
That's a job. Great. Craig also meets the owner of the gym, THOR. And there is something seriously off about Thor. He is weird. I don't like him. He makes me very uncomfortable. And we will get to Thor later. And finally, he meets another gym employee, Mary Tate Farnsworth, played by Sally Field. And Craig and Mary Tate spark an immediate attraction. Now, we're 10 minutes into the movie, and we've got Sally Field, Robert Englund, Jeff Bridges, fucking Thor, and before Arnold even shows up, this movie is stacked with talent. I was starting to get nervous for him. Like, this is a big role for the guy, and if he's going to come in like Hercules in New York, it's not going to go well. Craig returns to the gym later, and this is where we meet Joe Santo, a bodybuilder training for Mr. Universe. Arnold's introduction is like a fever dream. He's dressed in a cape and mask, and he's lifting weights while a guy plays bongos and Freddy Krueger does some beatbox. I almost turned the movie off because I was not ready for that. I thought this was just going to be a nice little small-town southern drama with a little weightlifting sprinkled in. But no. It's weird. And it's here Arnold has his first couple lines of dialogue, and they appear to be ADR.
Mary Tate and Anita are over at the club. So why don't you all go ahead and I'll catch up with you later. Okay?
Oh boy. I started getting secondhand flop sweat. But by the next scene where the dude and Freddy get into a bar fight, Santo shows up afterwards to check on Craig, and he's much more at ease. He's already starting to feel like more of a character than he's ever played before.
Why don't you wash off and I'm sure you'll be alright. We wait for you outside, okay?
All right. Good. Sorry it wasn't leaving help.
And once Santo and Craig become friends, the movie becomes mostly about Craig's deepening relationships with Santo and Mary Tate. He starts splitting his time between his country club friends and Santo and Mary Tate and the weightlifting guys, and that's the bulk of the movie, just getting to know these characters and their dynamics. We discover Santo is a Renaissance man.
And bowls 200. Was near about an Olympic swimmer. And before they come here from Austria, he was world champion of curling.
And it becomes increasingly obvious he is easily the most interesting character in the movie. It turns out he's also a fiddle player in a bluegrass band. If you've ever wanted to see Arnold in a bluegrass band, this is your chance. You know, when you find this out, there's this very small moment where Arnold takes his violin bow and he kind of just boop.
You realize I had absolutely no intention.
That's cool.
It's such a small throwaway moment, but it's playful and demonstrates Arnold's ease on camera and in the character that you couldn't even imagine just a few years prior.
I think we had something like this at school. I'm not sure. I still got the form down here. Tell me if I'm doing this right. Is that it?
I never do that one.
Now you contrast that with Jeff Bridges dancing a hoedown to show he's a rich guy finding himself by hanging with common folk, and it's kind of easy to know which character you want to root for. The rest of the movie is a series of random occurrences to further paint these three relationships. They go have a picnic together. Craig steals a painting for Mary Tate from an office building, but he gets caught. But instead of getting in trouble, he's recognized by the guy working in the office because Craig is part of that elite society. Santos explains his philosophy of life.
I don't like being too comfortable. Once you get used to it, it's hard to give up. I'd rather stay hungry.
And Craig is enamored with it, but he doesn't really absorb it. He seems incapable of comprehending Santo's mantra to stay hungry. And this builds to what should be the climax when Craig brings Mary Tate and Santo to a high society party. Mary Tate wears this extremely tight nightclub dress, and Santo is dressed as a silky smooth cowboy. And it quickly becomes clear they aren't here as his friends. They are trophies for him to show off to the other rich guests. Santo plays fiddle with his band, but he cuts off the performance when it's clear everybody's just making fun of him. And Craig ignores Mary Tate most of the evening, and then everyone gets mad when she makes a scene. And in the book, that's the breaking point, and it destroys all their relationships. But Stay Hungry has something else in mind for its finale. As Mr. Universe is underway, Craig attempts to apologize to Joe Santo while Santo is about to take the stage. Like, literally, he's about to get on the stage.
I'm sorry, Joe. Really, I am. Will you put your goddamn dumbbells down? Wait a second.
A total selfish dick move from a character who only cares about himself. Now, Santo has been pretty chill with Craig the whole time, but he finally gets fed up and tells him what no one else will tell him.
I told you a while back, you can't grow without burning.
I don't need this shit.
Yeah, you do.
And that's all fine. But then things get uncomfortable. See, throughout the movie, the real estate broker has been trying to sabotage the gym to make it easier to buy. And Joe Spinell tries one more tactic. He plies the gym owner, Thor, with prostitutes. And here's the thing. I don't like it when Thor is in any scene, even if he's just in the background. He's a gross, greasy, hair-piecey piece of shit. He peeps on Mary Tate, he stretches people when he first meets them, and when it becomes clear Craig isn't going to buy the gym for Joe Spinell, Spinell tries to butter up Thor with these prostitutes. This leads to a very upsetting, entirely too long sequence of Thor and one of his employees spending time with these women in the gym. Thor is aggressive, violent, disgusting, so sweaty, and it just goes on and on and on.
We're gonna hang this night up on the wall and frame it, by God.
And on. And at the end of it all, he's all drunk and fucked up, and he inhales some poppers just as Mary Tate comes in to grab something from the office, and he grabs her, and he forces her to inhale this amyl nitrate, and then it's heavily implied that he assaults her. The fuck? And that's way too much for this movie to be throwing at us this late in the game, especially when it's juxtaposed with the incredibly silly climax of bodybuilders taking over the streets of Birmingham. And that part is fun, but like, now you just feel gross. More than anything, it is totally unnecessary. It turns Mary Tate into a victim just to provide Craig an unearned left field hero moment. Yuck. Hated all of that. Thor shouldn't have even been the antagonist. If it's anyone, it should have been Joe Spinell. Now, in the end, Santo wins Mr. Universe. Craig and Mary Tate move in together, and Thor goes through a glass window. Now, Stay Hungry's success rests on two things. Whether you're invested in the story of a wandering, wayward, rich white guy in existential crisis. I had a hard time sympathizing with someone who's bored and has too much money. I also didn't like Thor, and that made it really difficult. But the second thing is the performances. Now, Jeff Bridges is good, even if his character isn't all that fun to be around. Sally Field, she's a spark plug. And until the movie betrays her at the end, she has agency and confidence. She isn't waiting around for Craig to save her from her life. All the supporting characters are pitched at sitcom levels. Robert Englund is pretty goofy.
See, his pool here is kept at 110 degrees at all times. It's got herbs in it.
Kills crabs, does it?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Scatman Crothers has like 2 scenes, and they're mostly played for laughs.
Be back to get you. And I'm gonna take your pole blind eyes out of here.
But the reason we're here is, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Joe Santo. And Santo could have very easily been a one-note character, a bodybuilder everyone else mythologizes, which Craig finds intriguing, but Santo is more than his physique. In fact, he's the gentlest character in the entire movie. A lot of his motives have an innocence to them, and he has a complete worldview and philosophy.
Endorsements, that's kind of like selling your name, isn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't bother me. You see, names don't mean any more to me than titles.
You know, I've heard about this stuff all my life. Kind of grows on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's like a lot of good things. Can't get too much of it in a hurry. Better be careful.
He's the most intriguing and layered character, large in stature but sensitive in his soul. And all this works due to Arnold's performance. While Jeff Bridges is flailing and screaming, "Baby, I need you!" Arnold is still calm. It's a wonderful contrast to show how comfortable he is in his own skin and how much he knows himself. He's thoughtful, understated, restrained.
He got me a working permit, helped me with the visa, things like that. Anyway, I could pay him back with the money I make from endorsements.
Some of these skills would be blunted in years to come due to the types of movies he ended up making, but there's an ease with which Arnold delivers his dialogue that seemed impossible 5 years prior. And it's a testament to Arnold's work ethic. He channeled the precision and dedication he put into bodybuilding into acting. And as a result, he was nominated for a Golden Globe in the Best New Actor category. Since, Hercules in New York technically didn't get a release, and everyone, including Arnold, is just pretending Arnold wasn't in The Long Goodbye, this is technically correct. Then, once Arnold found out he was nominated, he took out ads for himself. He already understood the game early on, and he won. And he even beat out a field that included Truman Capote and the kid from The Omen. Him taking out the Golden Globe ads really shows how savvy he is, and we're going to see a lot more of that in Pumping Iron coming up next. But for now, got him a Golden Globe and put him on the map. Therefore, his acting chops in this movie, I got to give him a 6. They're award-worthy. Kill count, still 0. Catchphrase, well, he says the name of the movie in his dialogue, so it's got to be Stay Hungry. Stay Hungry may not be a great movie, but it's essential to the legacy of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It taught him how to act, and it gave him legitimacy. But it was not a hit. Box office success as an actor would have to wait, because an old friend came calling, and in the next episode we'll explore Arnold's return to the world of bodybuilding for the documentary Pumping Iron. And if you like these videos, make sure you give it a like and a subscribe and a comment and all the stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.